Hello, my dear YouTube. My name is William Berry. I have been playing games for the past 24 years. Gaming has been a through line for my entire life. I've held a deep love for music, for anime, and for the arts. I love to pen thoughts on paper and make art, try and write short stories and nerdy poems. But none of these passions that I've ever had can hold up to my deep addiction to gaming. It's a love that's been hard for me to explain to the world, and even harder to explain to the loved ones in my life. It has caused more fights than I can ever recall. I am now 2 years away from the ripe age of 30. Oh, you know how they say when you're 30 and it all starts to go uphill. And yes, it does. In all my years scaling mountains or fighting dragons, trying to save the princess or leaving my mark on the leaderboards, I've had a hard time explaining my deep admiration for gaming to the world. To this day, I'm still unable to explain why I love games the way that I do. I've tried numerous times to sit here and explain my thoughts in a video. The years have been unkind to the gamer in me. Maybe it's my age. I mean, it could always be that I'm just getting older and games are getting less and less more to my liking. Maybe it's just something that happens with the passage of time. But I look to my hobby, it's been the cornerstone of my entire life. And somehow, it feels somewhat empty. Mostly the last few years. And this could be simply because I'm seeing the loved ones that I've had my entire life outgrow me and move on with their lives, starting families and falling in love and doing all those other crazy things that people love to do. Or it could also stem from the fact that every game company has let me down. And I mean all of them. Even the greats. Even the Kojima. Even BioWare. Even Square Enix or Capcom. In fact, Square Enix and Capcom, to me, are terrible companies. I see my hobby imploding on itself, leaving behind a shell of everything that I loved. I see people chasing down graphics at the cost of performance. I see crappy cutscenes, and by crappy cutscenes, I mean walking segments of games where there should be a cutscene, but because they don't want to give up player control, I now have to walk lazily through an entire hallway while exposition is being dumped on my lap. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those back in my day things that we hear old people mutter, as if to give themselves some kind of importance to today's issues. I don't know. I can't answer this question. I'm just a 28-year-old nerd, sitting in a dark house playing video games into the wee night. And yet, for all of the No Man's Skies, the Mass Effect Andromedas, or pretty much anything Ubisoft or Bethesda has released, I still feel myself holding on. To what? I have no idea. Maybe it's a dream that games will now somehow magically improve again. Maybe we'll get another Soul Calibur 6. Maybe, just maybe, I might get to play a game that makes me happy. And out of all of these AAA titles that just fucking let me down time and time again, taking my money and not giving a fuck about the product they release, somehow Riot Games is there, with their little gem known as League of Legends, saving the gaming industry. Through all the dog shit Destiny titles or wannabe Call of Duty first-person shooter titles that have saturated our entire market, leaving us with a bitter taste in our mouths, demanding some kind of originality, somehow League of Legends made it. It sticks out like a sore thumb. Now there are so many games trying to be the next League that it's actually kind of disgusting. Through all the shady shit Bethesda has done, or the constant fanboys of Blizzard who say Blizzard can do no wrong, despite doing wrong all the time, Riot Games stands out as a testament to what it means to make a game that defies time, that defies logic. We all know that World of Warcraft peaked 4 to 5 years into its making, or into its runtime. It's still a widely popular game, but its player rate has declined. Most games usually decline a couple months after their release. Yet for some reason, League of Legends is growing in numbers. It is growing more and more every year. Now, that's not something that you see very often. In fact, it goes against the entirety of what it means to be a gamer. Perhaps it does this because it's a free-to-play game that not only changed esports, but the world forever. And more importantly, it's a constant evolving game that allows players to voice their opinion, and for some odd reason, Riot listens to them. Maybe that's why they've been so successful at creating the most played game on the planet. Now, I have a hard time being kind to Riot because they have a tendency to like Asian characters more than, the rest of the world because they're technically owned by Tencent now. That being said, though, Riot has done so much great work for the people playing their games. And to see Riot doing all it can to keep its player base interested, constantly evolving, and showering the community with, support is an amazing thing. Riot is one of the few game companies that doesn't sit here and go, we need you to take down that video because, we're going to monetize your shit like anything Nintendo will do. Somehow they've managed to keep their game relevant for the past, 8 years? Yeah, 8 years. And more importantly, somehow they listen to the masses. And they have fulfilled almost every promise, even the ones that are completely mundane, like giving Graves his cigar. It somehow manages to remind me why I play video games and why I love video games in the first place. And it gives me hope for the future of gaming to see what one company managed to do. So in short, I want to thank Riot Games. I want to thank them for showing the world that we can have games that optimize performance over graphical assets. I want to thank Riot Games for making a game that not only have I enjoyed playing for the past 2.5 years, but a game that I openly wanted to put over $3,000 into. A game that has defied AAA companies and their DLC bullshit. Their day one fucking patches because they're too goddamn lazy to do their job correctly, or on disc DLC. I want to thank Riot Games for showing me that not all companies are fucking assholes. So Riot Games, thank you so much for creating this game. Thank you. I don't think you get to hear something like that nearly enough. And for the rest of you, you might want to take time off of your Reddit posts to thank Riot every once in a while for making the game that you so vehemently tear down on a constant basis. And for the rest of us, I'll see you on the Rift. Just do me a favor, alright? Don't fuck up my solo queue. Later, nerds.